Check the audio real quick because it sounds a bit crazy over here. Hold on one second. Maybe I might have to just use these headphones. It might be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's clear for me now. Is that all right?
Yeah. How do we sound to you?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, this is good. This is good. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me introduce you, Bamba. This is my close friend Justin.
Justin, peace.
Peace. Nice to meet you, brother.
Pleasure meeting you, bro.
All right.
This is Justin right here. This is my people, and Justin.
Right.
This is Bamba. We met in Amsterdam in
Yeah.
a bar.
That's
so
right.
Right in February, right before all of this got crazy.
Word, you made it right. You made it out here just in time, you know.
Word. For
Yeah.
sure. That's the truth. And basically we created this as a way to sort of highlight individuals that are sort of doing their own thing and
Mm-hmm.
basically wanted to just pay respects to those individuals while we all in the house, because we weren't able to go anywhere at the time and all our projects were on hold. So
yeah.
And we decided to create it called the Homage Podcast, which is basically openly paying respect, to individuals, wherever it may be, whether it's like, management, art, any lane, anything, whatever you're doing, education, whatever. So, basically I was, waiting to speak to you, and it seemed like the right time to talk to you and get a perspective of what's going on over there, over here, and
No, it's amazing. I mean, impeccable timing, man. Because this whole thing going on today with the blackout, and and then it's interesting, because I kind of have mixed feelings about it. Because on the one hand, it's set up, to show unity and think of solutions, but at the same time, I think it should also shed light on those people that have been active and that are, putting, content out right now that really connects with the times. You know what I mean? So why not, share some of that? I mean, if people are not going to post nothing, why not post something on an artist or a scholar or, anybody doing anything, that furthers the cause. Why not shed some light on those people? I mean, it's been on my mind for most of the day, really.
No, for sure, man. There's some. Well, let's just explain yourself a little bit. Like, I know you're an activist, an artist, a DJ, producer. You wear many hats. Among being, of course, a father, a man. And that the obvious. But just like for those that might know you, just give them a sample of what who Bamba is.
All right. So Bamba Al Mansour. I'm definitely I'm a father first, father of four. I came in the music game as a producer under the guidance of Daddy-O of the legendary Stetsasonic. He's been my mentor from a very young age, and so what I got from him coming in, the entertainment business was, that you had to have a purpose. You know what I mean? So the educational aspect was always very much, something that we were taught. And I produced under his guidance for a few years. I produced an album for him on Tommy Boy at the time. Never came out. I think he just re-released it. But the point is that what I learned from that is that I had to grow into my own person and really find my own voice in music. And so I started doing less production, and I started focusing more on writing my own music. And at the time I had, came to Europe, back to Europe because I was born in Europe. Came back here and I started DJing a lot more. And so I built a career for myself as a DJ. And along the way, I just always made sure that the music was in tune with what I felt was an urgent agenda, which was always deeply rooted in our identity, our struggle. And so I would do parties, but there would always be an undercurrent of a message behind it. I did different projects at museums and exhibition spaces and, fashion shows and just pushing the culture forward across the board. So, yeah, I've just been doing different things over the years. Um, and I'm here now, really full circle back to me, as an artist, as a person, ready to bite the bullet. You know what I mean? Because I've learned one thing as a producer: you can co-sign an artist, but so much. You know what I mean? You can window dress whatever everybody else does, but so much. At some point, you have to take a stance on what your opinion is, what your voice is.
Definitely, right.
Especially in these times. So yeah, that's where I'm at right
Definitely. Now. Yeah, making something with substance.
Thank you. I think that's
Definitely.
for those of us who are a little bit older, that's where we came. That's where we came from.
Definitely. And right now you have Black Stereo. That's the company, right? Black Stereo.
That's the label, yeah.
That's the label, right? And then I know you have you've been releasing some music since the top of the year, right? You've been coming with it. So can you tell us what that's like? What that recording process is like? Because it's kind of it's a mashup of many different genres. You know what I mean? And I know what you're capable of. I've been going back and listening and catching some of your your earlier stuff. So how was that? How are you making music now? How's the creative process now with everything that's going on?
I mean, it's a huge blessing, considering that originally we needed so much to be able to express ourselves, And it's a joy in 2020 to be able to just turn your laptop on and have a whole studio available. You know what I mean? It's amazing. It really is. So for me, the process is very much one that I enjoy. Because I come from an era where I didn't have my first MPC till I was like 12 years deep into the game. I simply couldn't afford it. And nowadays it's so accessible that it's amazing. The workflow is interesting as well because it allows me to really collaborate with different people from around the world. So sometimes I get my bass lines from my guy out in Paris, and my horns might come out of Jamaica, and my guitar comes out of Brooklyn. My man Marcus Machado, So it's almost like it's a virtual band that I've been working with.
And it sounds like I sent Justin some of your latest joints you've been dropping.
Yeah.
What fire? What do they call for the people that don't know? What are the projects called? Like your soundtrack to the Revolution?
Yeah, well, it's a few different things going on there. Like what I put out as a DJ is what the tagline is always the soundtrack to revolution, which is what Black Stereo stands for. It aims to really provide, just context to the times that we're living in. The mixtapes that I've been dropping, the first out of a series I did about 2 years ago when Black Panther first came out, and I dropped it through OK Africa. They premiered it, so they got a lot of traction. And since then, I've been dropping these mixtapes as a DJ, which is a bit like, it's not so much a DJ, a mixtape in the sense that it's a continuous flow, and it's like, it's not like me DJing a party. It's more so creating a narrative, telling a story, and it always says it's hosted by the ancestors. Because what I do is I let the ancestors speak. So I might bring Malcolm in, and he might speak to you in the course of the mixtape. You might hear Angela Davis. You might hear all these different people who have, contributed to our cause greatly. And what I've always tried to get across with these mixtapes is that it takes you on a journey, and it shows you that what they said back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s is still relevant today. You know what I mean? So it's really taking people on a journey, and I was always hoping that people could get strength from the music. I think that's what the purpose is behind being an artist and putting out music that people can really be inspired by and, find some strength within that. So that's the mixtape series. The songs that I put out are singles off of my project, which is called Liberation. The first single is called "We the People." The second joint that I just dropped is called "The Sound Off."
Yeah, sound off.
You know, I mean, the sound off, and
fire. Sound off is fire.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean that's really refreshing to hear. That somebody's taking the approach that's well needed with music. And it's funny when you were talking, you're mentioning that all of these legendary, figures are in the songs, and obviously we know that things have changed and haven't changed, right? So all of this stuff is still relative, and it's so timely because I have 3 children. I have a 17-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And my 7-year-old daughter, she was asking. We had a whole conversation this morning about Black Lives Matter and everything that's going on, right? To a degree, she's not going to comprehend everything, but I did. She goes, well, did Martin Luther King end everything? And I said, no. You have to understand that he was fighting for something that was very important, and so was a bunch of other people, and it's still going on, and that having that in your songs, that's like so important, you know what I mean? It's so needed, because even my 17-year-old, who knows obviously a lot more, it still needs to learn, and I'm pretty sure there's 27-year-olds and 37-year-olds that still need to make this connection, and I'm still learning. I'm 37. John's, those 37. So we're still building all this information and trying to come up with the best ways to move forward with everybody, and make the best decisions with everything. So like, it's really, really refreshing to hear that.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody loves fun music, but at the same time,
those mixtapes came through, man. When I remember when you sent me that first one, I was like, oh nah, this is fire. This is fire, because I didn't know what to expect. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know if I didn't know if I had to sit there and like, listen to it through a lens of I have to listen to Bamba. I don't know if I'm getting Bamba's project early.
Right.
I don't know if I'm getting, I don't know what's going on, so I didn't know if I was gonna, how to process it. But once I pressed it, I was like, oh, all right, this is an easy listen. I could just listen to it. I don't have to like, you know what I'm saying? I could just ride out to it and then take it in. You had a couple of intros in there in between the electronica. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was on time. And then that's the way things hit. I think that was right around when quarantine was setting in.
First week.
So it was like
It's so dope too that you said that you collaborate for when you're putting together the music with people from different parts of the world.
Yeah.
So you almost, obviously you're getting like a virtual band, right? But you're also getting different perspectives, different feelings, and different thoughts. And showing that, like, it's like unity. I don't want to sound corny about it, but it's like musical unity in that sense. That's really fire, bro.
And bro,
man, that's dope.
This is something like, and I'm happy you're pointing that out, because like I feel that's the key. That's the key to our survival in the long run. Like with everything that's going on with us at the moment, you know what I mean? And this is something that we discussed, when you were in Amsterdam, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
The concept is that we're all powerful in terms of our position in the world, but we just somehow, some way don't realize it. I tell people this all the time. Like, first thing you do, make sure you get a passport, because the moment you step out of America and you come to grips with like who you are in the world, and that there's many people out there that's just like you, everything changes. But that interconnectivity needs to start at home, because if the Haitian community connects to the Dominican community, to the Puerto Rican community, to the to the African American community, man, listen, you now end up visiting one another's home bases, each other's backyards. And I think once we realize that, because how many people do we know that are in diaspora-like relationships, where the wifey might be from the Dominican Republic and, the husband might be from Jamaica or some other place. The moment we start exploring our opportunities outside of the construct that is America, I think, we're going to open our world up to some amazing opportunities. And that's what we're doing with them.
I'm heavy preaching that. I always tell people, you know, all my people out here, like how much I love, you know, traveling, especially going out to UK and you know, seeing a different experience of our people everywhere. You know, I go places that I didn't know that there was Dominican people over here. I didn't know that, you know, that they got down like this over here, or you know, and even like, you know, going to Amsterdam, we spoke about, you know, your community and where you come from, and you know, you can enlighten the people on that, like where you're originally from, your family, and
okay. Well, my roots are originally in Suriname. Suriname was a colony of the Netherlands, you know, up till '75. Okay, so basically, before they dropped slaves off in North America, they would stop over in Suriname. You know what I mean? And so you have a very strong Creole community there that has roots in the African West Coast. So we're talking Ghana and Senegal to be specific. So you know, they in Suriname we speak you know, Creole. It's a mixture of Dutch, English, and like French, and it's a very rich culture. You know, it's very diverse. You know, you never know what you get when you know, you see a person from Suriname. It could be an Asian Suriname person, it could be an Indian Suriname person, it could be Creole. But you know, even though I was born in Amsterdam, and then my family moved to Suriname in '75 as it gained its independence. So there was like an influx of people like going home. You know, Suriname people are like the equivalent to Jamaican people in the UK. You know, most people here are either from Suriname, from Ghana, or like, you know, Nigeria.
Gotcha.
So my whole mission in life has been to just make it home. So I you know, I've lived in Suriname for years. I went to school there. Went to school in the Netherlands, and then I just moved to the U.S. as a teenager. But my whole journey has always been about going home, going back to the roots. So as I came back to Amsterdam, I started going back to Africa, and that's basically where my focus has been for the past 25 years. Like, you know, to just deal with the root of it all. You know what I mean? A sense of homecoming, and a sense of not dealing with the, you know, all the dynamics that we're dealing with in the West. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So that's quite a journey. You went from you've been around. You've been you had your feet on the ground in many different countries.
Yeah.
And that so now Amsterdam is home, and
not quite.
You know, not quite. And I'm just saying, not home as per se, but I mean, that's where right now you're working out of Amsterdam.
Yeah. I'm here now.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
And eventually the move is to go back home though, to Suriname.
For me, you know what? It's tough, man, because see, I realized one thing, that I think one of the differences between, say, Black people in Europe or the Netherlands, to be very specific, and then say the U.S. When slavery came to an end in the U.S., you know, people were promised 40 acres and a mule. That never happened over here. You know what I mean? We actually have countries to own up to. Like Suriname is a country like many times the size of the Netherlands, and it's at the heart of the Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
That's way past 40 acres.
Sure.
So my thing is like, as tragic as slavery, you know, was, we gained that in the process. You know what I mean? Through our suffering, we gained that. So it's not something that I want to, and I can't let go. I feel like, you know, somehow, some way, it's important for us to claim, you know, that heritage, and to figure out a way in which we can capitalize on that heritage as well. But then on the other hand, I'm also very much focused on Africa, where I feel like, you know, I can be fully home. Because there's a lot of stuff that we're dealing with, and we don't even understand that we're dealing with it. The concept of racism is there's people on this earth that don't understand what that means.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. And it's refreshing to be in a place where you could just be like, yo, let me people look through you. They be like dealing with you for who you are, and they see past the little whatever wrapping paper. You know what I'm saying?
And seeing that you had the Black experience in all these different places, I mean, I can only imagine how by now how many different ways you look at at situations, especially. So what do you think about the situation we're facing over here now? With everything that's going on.
Man,
it's been a crazy week. I mean, I definitely didn't know how this was gonna play out. I tell you the truth, I didn't know how this was gonna play out. But
well, before I even answer that, I mean, how do y'all feel about it?
I mean, my thought process, I feel like this cooker pressure was boiling. It was gonna pop off, sooner or later.
Yeah.
And we've had other riots, we've had other situations. I feel like it's different at this point. There's no pacification that's gonna come quickly to make people just forget or just move on like everything else is going on. Like everything else is fine. And obviously this is tragic situations, but there's also these other factors that were happening in America with, not just in America, everywhere, with COVID and economic crisis all hitting at one time, that when these terrible police officers did this to this man, it was like, that's it, we can't take it no more. So as far as the protests and the outcry, I think it's just going to keep growing. The other part of it, the looting and the breaking down and the fires, like, it comes with it, man. I mean, this is what you push people to. You got people to the point where you got to hear us. You got to understand our pain. I'm not running outside burning down. That's just not what I'm gonna do. But I figured there's a smarter way to deal with things. But if I was 17, I don't know what I might do. I don't know how I would respond to this kind of thing. But I definitely feel like it boiled over, and we are in a transition with a presidential election coming up. It's so many factors that's just making this such a bigger situation than I've ever experienced. I'm pretty sure my mom and friends, mothers, and parents, and everybody is like, "Oh, we saw this before," But this is I feel like a turning point for our generation that's going to change something, whether it's in the change that we want or we need, or maybe there's just a split, and it's just like you over here on this side, or you over there with them, and it's clear. I'm sorry, you go ahead though.
No, man, I totally agree. I think it's been a long time leading up to this, because there's been time and time again where these things happen. Even before there was social media or anything, with like Sean Bell and Amadou Diallo, and those situations didn't boil over like I honestly expected them to. And this was at a time when things were a little wilder. Well, not much wilder probably. So I feel like this is just, especially in New York, it's been a lot of like peaceful protesting for years. So and now there's been this sort of heightened consumerism and real split within the people of like poverty and rich and poor, of course, but the prices are getting higher. So like places like Soho, the rent there is unimaginable. So when those are targets, because they represent big business, they represent the things that are keeping people out, So I think focusing on looting is just another, no, don't get it wrong. Those things, there's something to be said about it. It's not right, of course, but it's also another way to distract people of why it's happening, because there's a reason that it led up to this. And there's times when when Kaepernick was kneeling, there were people that took it as a joke and made jokes of it, made him the butt of joke. And now you see those sort of same people kneeling, outside, and see them kneeling. So it's kind of shameful that it couldn't happen before all of this. That's the real situation. Why did it have to go to this level before you can kneel together, or just respect it. You know, you don't even have to say anything. If you don't agree with it, don't agree with it. But do you have to go speak against it or provoke it? You know, as far so now we're at the point where I don't know where we can go from here. To be honest with you, the only next thing I can hope for is maybe infrastructure and leadership to rise from this, and some type of political energy and direction eventually, maybe, you know. But you know, chaos is a part of it. You know, this country was built off revolution and anarchy and all this craziness that, you know, comes along with it.
For sure, for sure.
I think it's part of the things that have to happen if we want real change. The youth know what time it is, man. This is their time, and they're the ones out there doing it. And I'm honestly not gonna tell you that I'm not proud of them. You know,
I don't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to finish one thought, right? Because he's making me think about something specific. Like, I got friends who are police officers. I got, you know, family members who are on the front lines of different scenarios. I'll argue with them to the day I die. Like, there's people that's gonna take advantage of any situation. There's people that's gonna do stupid shit. That they were gonna do dumb shit whether there was a reason to or not. There's always somebody that's gonna come in and try to like make something worse. I'm not even talking about like conspiracy theory people. I'm not talking about like outside groups. I'm talking about people within our own community. They're just gonna do dumb shit. These kids was gonna get in trouble on Tuesday, right? Because they just got other issues going on in their life, and this is how they express it.
True.
But in those you know, to piggyback on Doe saying, like, if people use that and lose focus on anything else, that's where the divide's coming in. That's where we can't fuck with you no more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's where it's like, yo, you don't get it at this point. What else do you need to understand? Like, you know,
I mean, I'm with you 100%, but I also think, like, you know, a lot of officers would just say, hey, you know, just trying to feed my family and all that. But the question is, like, at what expense? You know what I'm saying? Like, people are losing their lives. I think if we, and this is, I think we all agree with this across the board, that we are all entitled to make money, but not at the expense of anybody's life. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what people are now seeing. The taxpayers are seeing that what they pay for is being used against them.
No accountability. I think it's a very simple theory. I don't think it's that much of, you know, much to figure out. It's just accountability and an even playing field that people are talking about. If you've seen it in front of you, you know, and then telling you something, they're trying to make up a situation that you're telling you saw something else. You know, like they're insulting your intelligence, and that's basically what's going on, and it's the wrong time for that. There's over 40 million unemployed out there. Everybody's home, you know, focused on the same thing. You know, we have big media, we have social media, so everyone's watching the same thing. You know, so, you know, they're all taking the information at the same time. So, you know, there's probably platforms that none of us use, you know, that have this high capacity of passing information. You know what I mean? So it's like everybody's taking that in at the same time. So, you know, it's up to the person at this point to behave how they want to in front of the world. You know. You know.
Yeah, but you know what though? Like, it's a few things that I'd like to just point out. Like, I think the issue with us as a people is that we expect human interaction from people who are letting us know in very clear terms that they don't operate on the same frequency. One thing that bothered me about the original the Floyd video, George Floyd video, was the brother that was trying to let the cop know, you know, that the man wasn't responding, that he was slowly killing them. And I've noticed in many videos like this that we address them as bro. Like, bro, what are you doing? It's not your bro.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I think the moment the cop hears yo bro, it's like they don't respect that kind of language.
Yeah.
Because they want you, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you're dealing with a robot, man. You gotta use another approach. You're expecting humanity from a machine. You know what I mean? And it's
Definitely.
our approach has to change, and that's where I understand. Like, you're going to fight fire with fire because you're showing them your humanity, and they know good and well that you flesh and blood. You know what I mean? And they make sure that you feel the force. But at the same time, I feel like we also have to consider that many of the people that went before us and were in positions of leadership warned us about this.
Yeah.
I mean, even the humblest of humble, Dr. King said before he passed that he had integrated us into a burning house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that's his last words, I'm saying like we got to take cue from that and say, hey, all right, what happens when the dust settles? What happens when these communities are rebuilt? Is it going to be better necessarily? I don't think so, because you're still going to be in an America that you can't call your own.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, just my humble opinion, unless we start counting our blessings across the diaspora, I think things will change in America. Once you start reclaiming your backyard, be it the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, be it, Ghana, be it, once all of that connects and America becomes a construct within the diaspora, we can exercise power. Everybody is exercising power. Everybody has lobbies in place. But we don't have those mechanisms there to where we can get things done politically.
Exactly.
And that's why they play so many games with us. And I think that it's important for us to start understanding, like, we powerful people, man. Like, we still like resonate on the same, we operate on the same Wi-Fi. Something happened in New York or in America, we feel it over here. Yesterday we had a huge protest out here. Same in London, same in Paris. Like, Black people catch hell all over the earth.
That's a fact.
That's a fact, bro. So there's solidarity in that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, it's not necessarily about who's in America, who's in Europe. My whole vision is like, how do we gain independence universally?
That's
what it is.
A great point of view.
Definitely is.
Because wherever I've gone, bro, it's always been the same conditions.
Wow.
Same conditions. Sorry, go ahead.
No, continue.
No, I just want to add to that. Like, of course, there's different nuances. I mean, and this is part of the reason why I said, all right, I want to be closer to the African continent, and this is, this is conveniently located simply because it's like no more than 4-5 hours from Africa. So, I hop on a plane and I'm there. But the one thing that did play a part, see, when I left New York, I could sense that there was a shift taking place. I lived in Brooklyn at the time, and there was guns. I mean, there was gangs popping up, and that was weird.
What year was this?
This was 96.
Yeah.
96, and it was just gangs, and I was a bit confused because I always identified that as like West Coast culture, but this was Crips and Bloods in New York. That was awkward to me, and I seen things along the way, and I said, all right, the dynamic is changing. I felt like this thing, the way it's going, you're gonna be stuck between a rock and a hard place. You got gangs on one side, you got the police on the other side. How do you raise, a family in safety? There's a lot of issues over here where we are as well. But I can tell you one thing. The one thing I'm not going to worry about is whether I make it home alive or not at the end of the day.
Really?
You know what I'm saying?
I'm curious. I was going to ask you about that. Like, how is the law enforcement interaction different in Amsterdam?
Okay. I would say that they've got a long way to go. Okay. This place runs behind on schedule, say, 20 years behind on schedule on average. Okay. America plays a huge role in where things are going because the world pays attention. So if something happens in America, they pay attention to it over here. And that can be good and that can be bad. You will see that there's been instances where the police have reacted, more aggressive than than under usual circumstances, especially towards people of color, black people, because these videos circulate, and they give some of these cops a bright idea, and they try out. That happens. But one of the main issues here is that there isn't so much an infrastructure for young black people to be successful. So when racial profiling is something that happens just like in New York,
Okay.
The only difference is like in the U.S. you're going to see a lot more young people, driving a nice car, for instance, and out here, you stand out crazy. So you a young black man driving a nice car, you're going to be stopped every 5 minutes. And the assumption will be that the only way, you was able to afford the car is because, you must be in the street. So economics has everything to do with it. You know what I mean? Once they accept that, we have economic power, we have buying power, the assumption that it must be, street money will go out the window. But I won't, I can't say whether anything's going to change on that note or not. I can't say.
And how was it looked at from your angle? As far as the interaction out here, because I know, America and hip hop is held, held real high across the countries, other countries, and all that. So when things like this happen, how does it affect the temperature? And like let's say, because you've seen it in the past, you've seen other things happen in the past. How does it affect the temperature of the people?
Well, I mean, everybody's in solidarity, and people feel it. People really do feel it. You know what I mean? I feel two ways about it though. A lot of it seems to be a trend. You know what I mean? It's a trendy thing to just post the Black Lives Matter, and hey, the good that I take from it is that it exposes a lot of young people to what's happening. It confronts them with the extremity of it.
Yeah.
If ever they thought this can't happen, well, you now seen it firsthand. It is happening, and it can happen. And so I think it's more so about, guiding that energy and making sure to remind them that, hey, if you see it, if you feel this energy and you see what's happening, shut it down, because this is what it can lead to, And these are conversations that need to be had over here. But all in all, people are feeling it, and like the world has changed to such an extent that you can be over here, but you'll be, it's gonna hit you emotionally just the same, because everybody is watching World Star. I'm saying, like, if it pops up on World Star, everybody's seen it.
Truly, especially bad news like that travels fast.
I mean, I think you made a great point as far as like being a trend, right? Because like right now, today is blackout day, and everybody's posting a black picture, which is great in the idea of it. But I found more like I found something that was more important when, like, a few of these younger people that I follow on the gram that I know, is young. For instance, one young white girl, she's probably be like 20, and she said in her stories and her posts, it was something like, instead of just posting that this is a bad situation, like, learn something from it. And she listed a bunch of documentaries that she's like, I just personally watched these, right? She watched the 13th, she watched James Baldwin documentary. She watched a bunch of things. She's like, I'm trying to learn more so I can understand like what happened before and how I can change, my frame of mind, right? And I said, when I thought about it, I said, that's way more important than some fucking black picture, because
I think
tomorrow, what matters on this black, like.
No, I think there's a misconception. I don't think they meant like don't post anything. The black picture means like just like on strictly on media, music media. like gossip sites.
Because
you know, like music media, all the like DJs, just anything music where money is being made off music, whether it be like, you know, journalism or videos, you know, whatever. Blackout on that. They weren't saying don't spread, you know, news about what's happening today, and don't keep everyone up to date, or, you know, post whatever, you know, just going on in your life. They're saying music. They're saying like the music industry. And I think people just gravitate towards movements anyway. So it might have been something that started among people like, you know, Ebro and those kind of, you know, because that's where I first heard it from. My sister listens to them. I don't really listen to radio, but my sister told me that that radio show specifically was talking about it, and so I'm guessing it's something for that industry.
Yeah, I'm not even against it in theory. I'm just piggybacking on your point as far as trending. Like, bring some substance behind something. In my opinion, like make something that's going to connect with you over time. You know, so that there is some form of idealistic change, and then that could transfer into an actual, you know, tangible thing that we can build from. You know, so it's not incumbent on minorities to be the one that have to fix something that they ain't break. You know,
exactly. I fully agree.
There's a lot of miseducation out there, you know, and it's sad that even amongst our own people, we need to really figure out who our own people are. We need to figure out what that is, because there's a lot of we talk, and we need to figure out who we are, you know, as a group collectively, you know, and that plays a major role in it. We need to figure that out, so we can figure out who's gonna lead, you know, lead us into that energy, into that place, so we could point this energy into something political that can come from it. Because I believe that a show of force, you know, you need to show that, and that's what the people are doing. They're saying, hey man, you don't have enough authority to stop all these people in all these major cities, right? Because it's impossible. There's not enough authority in anywhere to do that. So knowing that should affect the way you carry yourself going forward. So you know that one decision that you know is made over here can cause this fire across the country. There should be something, you know, that comes from this, you know. So I just hope that we can just channel our energy in a direction that eventually sparks something, you know, that can cause some change, you know. Because even right now we're still dependent on whatever's going on, right? It's wild, and people are reacting to it. And by people, I mean like government officials and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So if you notice from the first day this happened, it was pretty much they were trying to clean that shit up, you know, like they were using that language of the cops really didn't fuck up, you know, like that's that's to summarize it, you know, because we don't need to speak the shit we don't need to speak how they talk. Summarize it. The language they were using was that they're not responsible for the guy's murder, and you know what you saw was something else, you know, and the fire grew heavier, and every day that they came with more bullshit, you see people reacting. And I've been telling people daytime protests is gonna be peaceful. When night falls, all that information is taken in and is being spread out. Those kids are looking at their phones and they're saying, "You hear this shit? Like, we're out here right now," and it's messing up it up for those officers that are out there doing the job. Because people might go home if they hear some good news, or if you slam that gavel on holding people accountable for that kind of shit. But no, they give him more incentive to wild out, you know.
But you know what?
I wanted to circle. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, bro. I'm listening.
No, I wanted to circle back on something that you made. I think you made a fantastic point about, as far as I can't verbatim say what you said, but in summary, like you was mentioning, like understanding Africa and understanding where you're coming from gives you a better perspective on where you're at in this country and in the States.
Right.
I think that's imperative, you know, because when you have that wider scope, it gives you a better understanding of what exactly is happening in front of you. So for instance, like my 17-year-old daughter, she's a young Black woman, and she has no idea about anything related to Africa. You know, she has some idea because her mother's like Jamaican, so she's been to Jamaica, but she don't really understand culture and history in that respect. So I think if we piggyback more on that term, whether or not they can actually physically go to Africa, because I'd love to. I haven't. That's one of the things I would like to, do and do often. But also just to understand that piece, right? Because we're fighting over something that really isn't anybody's, that wasn't ours in the first place. So that's why it's left in this spinning turmoil of confusion and hate and growing constant bitterness, bitterness between everybody and bickering,
I mean,
I just wanted to comment because I thought that was a fantastic point.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
It makes sense. It makes sense because see what happens over here. There's so much miseducation and confusion among everybody. So it's like, if you're a kid from Jamaica, let's say, and you come over here, automatically someone assumes you're African American, but you're not. You're gonna be like, what's that? Because you're Jamaican, So here you're gonna be Black or whatever term, and that term can change depending on how you look, what group you're around at the time, Because there could be a time where I'm the Blackest person in the room. I'm serious. I'm serious. Like, there's times where I'm the Blackest person in the room. Seriously though. And then there's times where, I might not be. You know what I'm saying? I might be the most laid back, conservative. I might be the square brother in the room. I'm just saying,
the scoop that's set by the door.
So it's like there's a lot of confusion among the people here on where they're from, where they come from, how to explain that, how to channel it, how to channel, how to look at themselves. And then, the education system over here doesn't really help either, doesn't really help explain anything either. So it's a lot that has to change in order for everyone to live this harmonious life that they want to keep presenting to everywhere else. And but there's a lot of underlying issues that you see just keep playing out, and this is the result, man.
You know what though, like young people have a different mentality nowadays, you know what I mean? And this is where I think we're losing a huge opportunity in terms of a day like this where as I said, I feel the platform should be used to put the spotlight on. I'm sure there's a ton of young artists out there who have a lot to offer, who are very opinionated in their music.
Sure.
I hear so many complaints, especially from the older generation, that music these days isn't what it used to be. You know what I mean? But why? See, we're not keeping the tradition alive. If anything, they could be playing Public Enemy all day, Brand Nubian all day. You name them. I mean, how many groups, had something to say along the ways of politics and religion and culture. I mean, a lot of us came up on that music, and I think it's never going nowhere. It's just that the attention isn't given to it the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Therefore, people assume it doesn't exist anymore. But there's a lot of young people who do take that music, the type of music, in high regard, and who are still making that music. Why not make that? Why not? You know what I'm saying? Like all these radio stations, like reflect the times we're living in, because that's my biggest disposition with the industry, really, that the soundtrack don't match the times. It's never been realer times than the times we're living in, yet and still y'all making, you're making it sound like everybody's living a good life, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's our responsibility as the ones that's a little bit older to say, hey, we're very in touch with you as the youth. I mean, we're not going to write you off as being ignorant. We're not going to write you. The great thing about young people these days is that they're fearless. They don't respect authority. And I salute them for that. Okay. You know what I mean? Because that's intelligent. That's intelligent, bro. And that's universal law. Because you can go to the Gaza Strip today and find that kids there have the same mentality. They're ready to die. but they know they live in concentration camps. They're like, well, what am I to do? Stay here for the rest of my life? This is my perspective. This is the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm ready. So my thing is, I just want to say that for what is important is leadership, and for OGs to continuously stay connected to the people, the kids in the street, and understand that there's no expiration date on activism. You're never too old to get upset, angry, or to put your energy into perspective. They might have the muscle, you might have the intelligence and the vision. I think it's really important for for those worlds to collide, for that division that's been created over time to close,
Yeah. You said it in the beginning of this conversation where you said that, one of the bigger things you took from Daddy O was that he, give the idea to make substance when you're creating, and I think if we pass that along to a younger generation, like, and move with purpose, you know what I'm saying? Like, do things with that's actually going to count for you and for the people around you, that's imperative, and especially in music, because we're all swayed by entertainment. We all follow it, whether you say like, nah, I don't give a shit about that kind of stuff. But not you, but people are like, oh, this movie was trying to tell us this, and it's like, well, I thought you didn't like this kind of stuff, because it's hard not to pay attention, right? We need to be entertained in some form or fashion because life is going on, and you need something to sort of pacify you in that. And that scenario here, that's another layer to, like, when I mentioned all those things that was going on, all these major crises, just the people in a certain demographic, like, no sports is giving a lot of people like nothing to distract themselves with. So their sole focus is on like, well, we're gonna flip the script on this shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
We've got nothing else to keep us entertained. So now watch me go out and hit these streets. How shall we really do this? Because ain't nothing else to talk about. There's really nothing else going on.
And this thing, I said this before, we talked about this many times before all of this, right? And I said, yo, all right, a lot of these places, it's gonna go back to like the old school Bronx. There's gonna be a lot of insurance fires, cause things like that. I remember I said that, a long time ago, and then now you just, with the rioting, that there's professional criminals out there that are gonna wait for times like this. They're gonna hit jewelry stores and all of that. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not even, of course there's gonna be rioting, but there's a lot of opportunity for other people that wait for times like this to do their thing across the country, whether it's anarchism, graffiti, whatever, and all of that is part of the, it all comes with it. But I just know that there's a lot of things that are happening right now that are just spinning out on their own, on their own wheel over there. It's not all. It's not all related. Like, what I'm saying? There's things that's going on that aren't related. Agent provocateurs and all of that, things of those nature. There's gonna be there's all kind of things going on out there that are beyond, above our head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I just wanted to add to that, like, we're still, regardless of the times we're living in, we're somehow, some way, still a very humble people. And that's to our own detriment, man, because I truly feel that this is our pain, this is our suffering, and we need to protect that. We're entitled to that. Us always having an open door policy for anybody that wants to join us, it's also causing a lot of issues here, because right now, you don't know who's causing it.
Exactly.
But one thing's for sure, we're going to catch the short end of the stick for it. We're going to catch the blame for it. So I'd rather be very selfish, because everybody else is selfish with it, right? We can't even be selfish with our pain and our suffering. Everybody wants a piece of that too.
The Jewish community is a perfect example of that.
You see?
And I have nothing against the Jewish community, but they own everything that is theirs, including their tragedy.
Right, and they make sure they promote that.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a world event. I mean, every 4th and 5th of May, bro, everything shuts down out here. Like, so my thing is, like, we see a lot of people join in, and it's considered to be a positive thing. But in the end, it's like, when can we have, see, we need to control the narrative. And because we're never entitled to have um, that space where we can vent our emotions and have constructive conversations about our collective future, there's always somebody listening in on the conversation and throwing a spoke in the wheel.
Honestly, let's just be honest, because most people aspirations on the way up are to probably work for somewhere or someone. So they're always gonna be binded by rules that, and regulations that, keep you from being your true self, as opposed to taking chances and being independent, where you can say things. Like, so if you look at most of the people that are independent, people probably think their shit is whack. I'm just gonna be honest with you, or play it for like it's cheaper or less than the brands that are pushed by machines. You know what I'm saying? Because people just they're so used to being workers. You know what I mean? And being told what to do. That some people think that product is better if it's under those guidelines of big industry as opposed to independent companies. And I think that's across the board. I think that's how I feel across the board on many things. Which and it puts things in a cheap space. You get what I'm saying? Like, people look at it like it's less than.
Well, we used to say the white man's water's always wetter.
No, but it's for reasons beyond me. Because if you design something or create something on your own without any help, and you can sell it from your platform, wherever that may be, as opposed to you going somewhere else and getting a cheaper version, right? Because in order to do something on the mass level, you're gonna have to use the same product as everybody else. And so it's like, I never understood that.
I mean, I was going to say something about the point you made as far as like inclusion with outside voices, right? So right now, every major corporation in America doesn't want to be the one holding the bag that didn't say something, that wasn't a part of this let's do the right thing moment, right? So they're all trying to do this, but two things are happening. One, they're saying the right thing, right? But the second thing is, going to your point, they're including themselves in the conversation. Now, how is that narrative going to stay intact? How are we going to continue to push this the right way, as opposed to like, the bigger the company, the bigger the money that they have involved, the bigger their voice could be. Does it sway now? Do we lose the focus? I can see that happening, so you're right. It's like you want these people to acknowledge these things, but it's also like, well, don't come in here and fuck up the situation either. You know what I mean? Don't turn it into something else. Don't make it not about the, police brutality. Don't make it not about racism. There was one on ESPN First Take yesterday. The coach of the Minnesota head coach of the college, Minnesota University's football head coach, like a 39-year-old white guy. He was basically saying, like, he's like, it was time. This is what he said. Not that, okay, this is the right idea, right? He goes, it's time for me to shut up, and it's time for me to let everybody else tell me what's going on, and I could take those voices and push that to the right people. And I said, okay, this is one man with a position that's probably here, but as you grow and the economics of it grows, and the people and the corporations that are involved, I don't know if they're going to have a unitive voice in that scenario. So that's where you made a great point. It can get shaky, in that scenario, and then there's more confusion and more turmoil that's supposed to be pushing something forward and trying to make the better come out of this tragedy. It's something to pay attention to.
For sure, but I think we're already witnessing the narrative being hijacked to an extent because of social media as well, which is a huge distraction if you think about it. In the past, people would go ahead and fight for a cause, but it wouldn't be for TV. It wouldn't be for a photo op. You know what I'm saying? Nobody would hear about it. You know what I mean? You would lose more than gain, really. And it seems like that's a distraction, a huge distraction. But just to get back to the point about the yeah, just basically not being able to compete with companies or bigger organizations or companies putting out product and not being taken seriously. I mean, I think this is a byproduct of integration because we were well off before we integrated. Remember, this is what yesterday was the commemoration of Black Wall Street.
Oh yeah, yeah.
100 years ago. You know what I'm saying? We came from a situation where we were forced to surface one another. We couldn't sell outside of our community. So we had no choice but to make money in our community and make that dollar rotate.
Yeah,
Nowadays,
there was also a village in downtown called Seneca Village that they built Central Park on top of it. When New York City went to build Central Park, they displaced all the people from there, and it was similar to Black Wall Street, but it was slightly integrated though, but it was a predominantly African American, and they dismantled it. They dismantled it to make way for Central Park. So if you go to maybe I think on the west side, maybe in the 70s, upper 70s, they have plaques out there now commemorating it. So be surprised that there's all kind of backstories like that. Everywhere.
Yeah, man.
Everywhere.
But here's the thing, real like. We can only look at the past and take reference from it, right? I don't necessarily like to dwell on the past and our greatness because that's not going to fix now. The only thing I can do is look back at it, be inspired by our greatness, and let that propel me forward. You know what I mean? It's almost like being a boxer. You used to be the heavyweight champion of the world. You know what I mean? You got caught slipping and you lost your title. That's kind of like how I feel about us as a people. Like they caught us slipping, they took the belt, and now all we can do is like look back at what we used to be, let who we used to be inspire us and remind us of our greatness, and then hit the gym and get back to our great self again.
Yeah.
That's how I see it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we're allowing people who have no business being belt holders to be in the position they're in. They have no business running things in this world, period. And I think, and that's just my personal opinion, we are allowing people who don't operate on the same frequency. We can be all spiritual about it and think of the devil as some kind of, a magical figure with a tail between his legs. The devil is real, and he's operating in this particular universe every single day. And we're just not man or women. We're just not man enough to acknowledge it. When we see it, we're not calling it for what it is. What else do you think the devil look like? What else do you think the devil does? You know what I'm saying? You're experiencing it, but we're just caught in this construct where we're not acknowledging that which we're not fully accepting what we're seeing. We're in a state of denial. And this is where I bring in the spiritual, irregardless of what you practice in this life, one thing is universal law, good and evil. And past the concept of God and the devil, there's the concept of right and wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of God-fearing people out there, but I rarely see anybody get upset at people, mistreating God's creation. If you burn a whole forest down, for personal gain because your company wants to exploit the land, and you don't take offense to that, what kind of believer are you?
Yeah.
It's like this whole thing has just been, it's been so deconstructed, the concept of creation. And I feel we should all be up in arms as human beings for what's currently happening. Because after we stop talking about race and we stop talking about economics, we still got to live on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And unless we incorporate solutions, you know what I mean, and equalize the playing field where we understand it's all connected. You know what I mean? Even if all these problems fade away tomorrow, you still gonna have to breathe polluted air. And these problems are caused by the same people who will put their knee in your neck. So it's a bigger issue, is my point.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, a huge issue, a systematic issue, and it plays out in the interaction of you know, that we see of Black people and police officers, you know, in killing unarmed Black people. That's the play out of that's how it plays out in front of our eyes. But the systematic issue is way bigger than that and beyond that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the ground floor issue that we can all put our finger on and say, all right, this is what it is, and we can see it. But the issue goes beyond that.
It does. But you know, for those of us who have families and those of us who don't matter. If you don't have one, start one.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, start one. That's the solution. Because in the end, you know, like Pete say, you know, it's a war going on outside. Mm-hmm. If you look at it from that perspective of it being warfare, why do you think they take us out the way they do? Because they know they're outnumbered.
Mm-hmm.
They know they're outnumbered, and they're just in fear of us. And I think that it's important to make real change by simply putting some people on this planet that can outbalance the negative.
Yeah.
You know, we need more people, like Jay said. You know?
Yes, sir. We definitely do.
Yo, just one. I had one. This is a light question. This is not as heavy as this because you mentioned music, right? You mentioned artists. Yeah. How long was you working with, like, you know, hanging with Daddy O for a long time?
Let me see. Initially,
give us the rundown, man. Give us the timeline real quick, man. Okay. You know, before we get out of here, give us that timeline.
Yeah. I don't mean to change the time. I'm just curious about.
We went heavy, man. We went heavy. Let's lighten the mood a little bit.
Okay, so then I met Daddy O when I was 15. I was 15, and then I worked with him for like 4 years in Brooklyn, right? So, this was on, this was, I think it was put in place off of Lafayette. I think, I'm not fully sure, but you know, he had a studio in the basement. And then I lived on the first floor with his brother, who was Kedar Massenberg, who went on to be the president of Motown Records.
Yeah.
Brian D'Angelo put out Erykah Badu, coined the whole, you know, neoclassic and all that.
Yeah.
So we were all in the same building. So this is the studio where he produced Junior Mafia. Big came through there, did the Mary J. Blige remix, the Real Love remix, that all happened down in the basement. So I spent those years there, the first 4 years. Then I moved to LA for a few years with my brother Cliff Love out of Brooklyn. And then I came to Amsterdam in 96, it was, I think, 96 or 7. I think it was 97. And so with Daddy O, I was under Daddy O for about 4 or 5 years in total.
The reason why I ask is I'm a Biggie stan, right? Like everybody that know me know, like it's Biggie and everybody else after that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like so you said 96, 97 in Amsterdam, was hip hop a thing there yet?
Been a thing.
Oh, okay, that's dope.
Certain places in the world was always on the timeline, like London, Paris, Berlin, New York. Amsterdam. You know, when Rappers Delight was doing what it did in New York, it was doing it here as well.
That's dope.
You know what I mean? Because again, we operate on the same frequency. So wherever you find Black people, you know, you find that we like the same thing.
Yo, and that's for sure. Because I was telling you, everywhere I went in Amsterdam, it doesn't matter if it was a restaurant, a store, they were playing nothing but slaps. Like, playlist was crazy everywhere I went. one place I went, they were just playing all Biggie. Like the playlist was crazy. They were not playing no bullshit. Like if you hear on the radio out here, they were playing all knocks, like straight and classics. I was like, yo, this
There's
is
a rich
crazy.
tradition out here, rich tradition,
Yeah.
bro. And the thing is, like, you know, I just want people to know, like, it's don't ever think that, you know, your hood is the hardest and everybody, you know what I'm saying? Because once you start traveling,
yeah,
you find out quick. We are who we are. It don't matter where you go.
Yeah, everywhere.
You know,
everywhere,
and a quick note, like, you know, in terms of Big actually came to Amsterdam and performed to Rotterdam, and he performed to a sold out arena in I lost the exact year, but it was a huge concert, and he was the headliner.
Nice. Nice. You caught it? You out there for it?
I wasn't here. I heard about it when I got back.
No doubt. They were showing him love early. That's what's up.
Now, have you produced or worked with any other artists musically or behind the scenes or anything like that?
Yeah. So Daddy-O definitely worked with him. Outsiders, a group out of Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah.
A group out of LA called Freestyle Fellowship.
Gotcha. I remember them.
Yeah, they was on Island, and they was kind of like they came out of a situation called the Good Life Cafe, which was like a freestyle cafe, and a lot of cats.
I remember those days.
So them, Redman did a few singles for him. Who else? A few, you know, like more underground artists. But
that's dope. And what about now at home in Amsterdam and overseas, all around the UK or Africa? Is there anyone that we should be paying attention to that's on your radar?
Wow. I mean, there's quite a few artists out of the UK that are, you know, that have a lot of substance to their music. This cat called Dave. You know, he's a young cat, but he's real good with it. You know, he's getting acknowledgement there. I mean, Afro beats is just the wave at the moment. You know what I mean? So many artists that are just doing the work. So I'm pretty sure that we get the same thing you guys have out there. You know, from the Burna Boys to the Davidos. It's just a lot of good stuff coming out. What else? I mean, in terms of hip hop, you know, the thing in Europe is that originally hip hop was very much like kind of format where it was almost like a religion. You know, you know, if you become a Muslim, then you pray to the East, and you know, you speak through Arabic, and what's the same with hip hop? You know, if you made hip hop music, then you spoke English. But what's happened over the years is a lot of countries started kind of making hip hop music in their own languages. So now when you go to Germany, you get German rap. You know, you go to France, you get French rap. You go to the UK, you get English rap, but with a thick UK accent. In the Netherlands, it used to be, you know, 100% English, and nowadays it's like Dutch.
Yo, that's my shit though. You know, I love that shit. That shit.
That
shit goes hard. That shit it reminds me of reggaeton sort of, right? Like that. Like I don't hate it. I was introduced to it, I think, through a Diplo album, that international album he did, and I was like, all right, I can fuck with it. It sounded like I was on Dykeman. You know,
right. But that was different though, because he had a Jamaican cat on it.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you hear the local stuff, then the beats sound like that. But then the language is harsh, man.
It's harsh?
It's harsh.
Was it Dip Ra or something like that the song was? Dip Ra, R-A-A-R? What does that mean?
I don't know. What does it say?
Dip Ra, D-I-P-R-A-A-R.
Double A-R.
Yeah.
Okay, well that means weird.
Oh shit! I mean, and get better weird.
You know.
But I think
out here, you know, it's a mixed pot. You know, you have a lot of a lot of Latino people here. It's a bit like New York in terms of like, a lot of Caribbean influence, a lot of African influence, very diaspora,
Yes, sir.
So, and that's what we talked about when you were here. I would advise anybody, stateside, if you have a chance, come out to Amsterdam and,
Man, I can't wait to head back. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
man.
I'm dying to come. I would have been back already if not for all of this. Yo, now when can we expect? When are you expecting to release your project? This upcoming project. Do you have a date for it, or you just work? Or you just figuring it? Figuring out all the body of work right now.
Well, yeah, but to be honest with you, since I'm independent, it's like I have to generate my money and put it back into the project, right? So, this whole situation has definitely changed things for me because I used to like be on the road heavy, you know what I mean, and just hit up the clubs and like do my thing and come back home, and then that's not. And I pretty much it's been a relief, you know what I mean, because it's been distracting me from really making my music and wrapping up what I need to wrap up. So basically, I don't have a set release date. However, I'm looking to really start pushing things out, man, because all my music is about these times. So I know I can't sit on this. Next single is going to be a song called Warriors, which is along the lines of Sound Off, and then I'll just go for the album after that.
Yeah, and you do your own artwork for the project as well?
It's a one-man show over here, one-man army.
Oh man, you got skills, bro. Yeah. Those pictures, your visuals be on point, man. Visuals are on point for sure.
Thank you, but I ain't gonna lie, bro. I've learned one thing this year, and that's to admit and acknowledge your weaknesses, man. Once you're in a position where you have very little resources to rely on, you're forced into a situation where you do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't necessarily mean you want to or that you're good at doing it.
Definitely.
And I know that for an artist to be successful, you need to have a team behind you and people that help you. And so I've been paying more attention to that. I'm actively looking for people that can help me out, on some of the back office type stuff that needs to happen. So yeah,
definitely, man. But I'm here. If you need anything, any way I can help, I'm around.
That's a fact. We got your back.
Appreciate
so we here, brother. Anything.
Thank you.
And yo, I ain't gonna front. I recommend. I know you. I'm telling you, if the way your visuals are, put one of those right on IG Live and spin one of those mixtape sets, man. I'm telling you. Yeah. I'm telling you, bro. Telling you, behind the scenes, I'll show you how to maneuver that. But if you give that to the people while all this is going on, my man, I'm telling you, it is gonna be reciprocated, bro. Because a lot of people didn't hear those mixtapes, but everyone that I send it to was like, "Yo, this is it." Like, I sent it out to a lot of people. And I was telling them, like, "Yo, you gotta just listen to that." Like none of that other shit. Just go listen to that and unpack that on your own. So, I'm telling you. With the visuals and what you're capable of musically, sonically, artistically, bro, I'm telling you, man, you got a lot to offer to people, and that's why I wanted to, I wanted to speak to you here today and introduce you to my brother Justin.
Yeah, I highly appreciate it, man. And
we got to give a shout out to Bar. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Got to give a shout out to Bar for telling me that I needed to meet you. And he made it sure. He was like, "Yo, man, when you go to Amsterdam, you got to hit my man Bamba." And and definitely me, our brotherhood is tight, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to Bar,
no doubt.
Sean Cross, man. Sean Cross and Bar too, man. Those are my OGs right there, man, for sure.
Hey,
Big
it's
brother.
a lot of love there, man. That's my brother.
Definitely.
And I once again want to thank y'all, man, for for having the conversation. It's been a pleasure. And I just want to say, hey, it's a big world out there. Let's stay connected. And let's keep inspiring the people out there to understand that, the power is with us. Everybody out there, go get you a passport. You have a young family, get your children some passports. Because the fact that most, you have to request for one lets you know they don't really expect you to go nowhere. and you want to have some maneuverability in these times. Start thinking outside the box. It's a big world out there. It's a lot of opportunity. You might not, you might not feel like you amount to much when you home in the hood, but once you step out, people look at you in high regard of what America represents culturally, and that's where the values start hitting you when people, they approach you a certain way. They expect certain things from you, and it's a good thing to come out of the U.S., but you just gotta like experience it for yourself and count your blessings along the way. All right.
That's for sure, man. That's for sure. The market, that UK market is dope. Like the people are dope. Everyone's dope out there. Like the energy is different. I told everybody, man, we got to see it. And I'm definitely coming out there to come check you, man. As soon as all this shit dies down.
Yeah, me too as well, bro. We're gonna
y'all welcome.
And chop it up in real life.
You know that. Y'all welcome.
Yo, I appreciate your time, man. I really appreciate it today.
Thank you, brother.
For real.
Thank you.
All right?
Y'all be safe out there, all right?
We will.
Likewise, brother. Be safe out there, man. We'll be linking up real soon, man.
For sure. All right, y'all.
Peace. Peace, bro.
Peace.
No.
Dope,
right?
Very. Yeah. I like him a lot, man.
Yeah, I told you that was gonna be fire.
Yeah, no, he's good people, man. He's great people.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, son, out there, different. You love it. Like,
Can't wait.
You love it.
Yep.
Wow.
It's the Homage Podcast. We about to sign off.
I forgot we still
on, baby. That's John.
Yeah, what love, yo.
Just peace, y'all.
Peace.